Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Throne podcast. I'm your host, the one and only King Kansas, here to bring you another podcast episode your way. Yes, we're going back to basics. The King is going way back when he first started the podcast right here on the Movie Throne. One main topic, and it can be on episodes on anything, whatever the King wants to talk about. Bring your way. Think that you might be interested. Maybe I'll educate you guys a few at the or maybe you'll educate the King, which is very rare because the King knows everything. You guys know that by now. Just kidding. But I'll be going to that format. I'll be doing what I like to call the confessionals, and that's where I'm going to put all the hot topics that I may or may not want to discuss at the beginning of the video, and then get into my main topic and really get into somewhat very interesting conversations and stuff like that. You guys may notice that the King didn't post something, I guess, on December 1st because something big happened in the King's life. But I'm going to talk about that later because I don't want to get a little emotional right now and I won't be able to talk movies with you guys. But, you guys are helping the King by being here this fine day, and getting the King through a hard time in his life there. A very interesting and challenging time. But, hey, King's the King for a reason. So I'm here to talk what we need to talk about. Okay. Let's start the confessionals, guys, and we'll go from there. And yes, I will have possibly the Equalizer, maybe, or some movie up for grabs. So be surprised. I'm going to surprise you guys, perhaps. Maybe giving you a giveaway. Now, you know what? Leave the giveaways for this episode. We'll do it the next week so you guys can come back. It'll be a Christmas gift for you guys. We got some business to take care of. But don't worry. When the King says something, it's going to go down. So, okay, confessionals. All right, I want to talk about a few things. You guys know that there's been a lot of chatter, whatever the hell you want to talk about this new Furiosa Mad Max saga film or whatever that's not starring Charlize Theron. It's starring Anya Taylor-Joy and Mr. Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth. Well, we were wondering, is it ever going to be coming out? Is it going to be good as the first one with Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy? Nobody knew. We got the first trailer, which I happened to come across just a couple of days ago and watch, and I can just say, you know what? It was good. I didn't think it was the greatest thing. I think it could be on par with what we got with Charlize and Tom Hardy. I was never a big Mad Max fan, even with Mel Gibson in the original films there that were like out there. Not my kind of style, but I watched the new one. I enjoyed that more than I did those Mel Gibson films. And you know what? I might watch it. And if I like it, let's drill. King might buy it. But very interesting. Like what I saw, it kind of explains to us how Furiosa became Furiosa. It's like a prequel. Anya Taylor-Joy is playing a younger version of herself, and she comes across Chris Hemsworth character. I don't know what his name is, but he's some sort of tyrant. Shit goes down. There's, chase scenes, shit blowing up, people with bionic arms and all that crap. And it was like, okay, we're going to pretty much get the same as whatever. But I, was interested. Just let me know what you guys thought of that. So another thing I want to talk about, guys, is this whole Marvel situation. Marvel's been getting shit talked and all this stuff. And, with the Marvel's tanking and there's several of the other films being so on par there, that Marvel's decided to kind of like pull the plug and reschedule, other movies that were supposed to come out this year until 2025. It looks like, from what I gather, we're only going to be getting Deadpool 3 and a couple of TV shows. I think Agatha and possibly maybe a Daredevil. Who knows? But for the most part, one movie this upcoming year, Deadpool. I think they want to give us a little breathing space so we can take it all in. Because with the recent misses and disasters with the DCEU and it coming to its end, I think that's kind of trickled over to the Marvel films and it's been taking a hit because everybody, whatever. And I always tell people, there's no comic book fatigue that people are bitching and complaining. Because you can be movie fatigue too. I'll tell you right now. If you don't write proper stories and execute them, people are not going to be interested. They're going to just be generic pieces of crap. And when you bring out too much at one time, people get sick of it. You don't know what to watch and focus on. So your attention's not there. You don't give it the love that you should be getting to it or really appreciating because you just expect it. And it's like, oh, there's another one. Here's another one. No big damn deal, right? So that seems to be the story with them. So that, do I think it's a good idea overall for doing so? I think so. I think they got to slow down, pump the brakes a little bit because when you're introducing all this other, and then you got Marvel doing this whole gender changing character bullshit with the Silver Surfer might being a female and stuff. Marvel, Disney, stop. Leave those characters alone. That's what you're doing. You're adding fuel to the fire of all the hate to all the haters out there. Me, I could personally don't give a shit. But if you're faithful to the comic books and that's where you're getting your ideas from, leave it be. Don't change shit. Okay? That's all I have to say. Leave it alone. Keep it simple. Don't mess with things. You're already playing with fire and shit like that. And all these casting newses and all this shit. And, you know, you got Pedro Pascal. Might be Mr. Fantastic. And people are all hating about that. He might not be coming back to Mandalorian. I'm like, really? Shut up. Take a little breather. You know, there's other movies you can watch. If you need to take a couple steps back, do so. Because there's a lot for everybody else there, you know. But for the most part, you know, that's all I have to say. Like, that's any other topics you want the king to discuss, go in the confessionals section or the comment section below. Let the king know what you want to talk about. I'm pretty sure I missed a lot. I know there's photo sets of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, and all this crap, and all the rumors and buzz, and this person is in this one. That's, you know, leave it be. They're all rumors. Once you see it released from the company itself or the studio, then believe it. Right? You need proof. That's how it used to be, old school. Show me to believe it. That's what I have to say. So anyways, let it be. Comic books are good. Just write good stories. Execute them properly. Take your time. Make us want to care a little bit more, and we'll be fine. So there you go. Okay, guys. Let's get into what I like to call the main hot topic, okay? And this one's a big one because this it's kind of funny how this is episode 51. It'll have significance. You'll know near the end of the film when I talk a little bit about it. And it's based on an actor that a particular someone who's very close to the king, like Sylvester Stallone. You guys saw the thumbnail. You know, I'm going to be talking about Rambo and Rocky. Which one do I prefer? Which one do I think is the ultimate franchise from Sylvester Stallone? Which one would I tell you guys will come out on top if they went head-to-head in a battle? You know? Like I tell you right now, like both franchises, you guys are going to find this hard to believe, but I'm not a huge Rocky fan, so I'm kind of going a little bit biased into it. You know, boxing is not my sport, but if it's a good story like Creed that's well written, I'll be interested in it, you know? Besides, I know Rocky has about 6 films that came out. I think I might have watched legitly when they came out on the spot 3 films. I think I was in 1982 when 1985 when Rocky 4 came out. The king was a little lad, maybe 9 years old, for God's sakes. And I was fascinated by that, you know, with Drago doing what he had to do and like the emotion, the story behind the big fight. They're not just fighting just to beat the crap at each other. There was a reason why, and at that time it was the Soviet Union, the Cold War between the United States, and the tensions were high. Not only was it dealing with the 2 individuals, but countries going at each other, and how boxing kind of united them in a way to kind of, you know, get an appreciation of each other's views perhaps a little bit, and then fix shit, which things eventually did. You guys know the story of that history. You know, like I said, Rocky 1 was great. Like, I watched that, but I can't, it's one of those films that it's a hard watch. It's very gritty, very serious. You know, you see a guy who's struggling working in a meat factory to kind of, you know, help his family out. They're struggling. His struggles to make it to the top, and he doesn't have exactly what all the other guys is, and he kind of like, in a way, idolizes Apollo Creed, this glorified American boxer. You know, he has the stars and striped trunks and all this crap and fighting and whatever. You know, he's the guy that he wants to fight and get that same adoration and whatever the crap. Great, you know? And then, of course, you know, Rocky 2 comes along, or 3, and then, you know, or is it 3 or 4? I can't even remember. So many, whatever, right? That he dies at the hands of the Russian. That kind of gives him a little motivation. So I was like, holy shit, you really killed him, you know? And then you got him kind of like in retirement in Rocky 5, and there's this new kid who's a little punk who he trains, and then he kind of turns on him because he thinks he's better than him. Then Rocky teaches him a lesson, which was great. He was having a little bit issues with his son at the time. And then, of course, Rocky Balboa came out, which to me saved the franchise to give it any credibility. And that's why we probably have Creed 1, 2, and 3, and possibly 4 with Michael B. Jordan and him continuing his as the coaching mentor guy. that you got a little bit more of the history of why him and his son are butting heads, and that little angle. Not only was there boxing, but it was his son. It was about getting connected with his son again after all this time and shit, which is heartwarming. Like I said, like you can understand why there was resentment from the kid, but at the same time, the kid understand why he did what he did to kind of help him out to better his life and shit. He was grieving too and all this stuff, and then to find someone else and hopefully move on a little bit and leave boxing behind. It's not all about that. And for him to kind of be computer generated to fight this new boxer who, like, if they were the same age today, who would win, to kind of get him going, and for him to kind of be, in a way, in his son's eyes, an old fool that he's going to hurt himself and embarrass him because he was more worried about him getting his ass kicked and ruining his legacy to go meet up with what everybody else wanted. But he wanted that too, so he did it. It turned out well, And after 6 films, I was okay. Out of the 6, the king might have liked, realistically, that set out of my head is Rocky 4 and Rocky Balboa. Yes, I know Rocky, was it 2 or 3 that had Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. That was pretty cool because, I was into wrestling, so I was like, that was cool too. But like I said, I don't know if that was enough to put it over the edge. Not to say that the next franchise, Rambo, was any like, oh my God, holy shit. But during the 1980s, when the first one came out in 1982, I think it was called First Blood. Holy shit. To see a veteran who got betrayed the way he did and to kind of go and do what he did and take everybody out was badass. That, to me, solidified Sylvester Stallone more than Rocky did, even though Rocky brought him, people to get him nose. The first Rambo was crazy shit. It was over the top. The way it was shot, the villains were like, what the hell? There's good guys who can be bad guys. My first exposure, guys, in 1982. Then to follow it up with, part 2. Come on. First Blood Part 2. I thought he did what he had to do. And you introduce more villains that were a part of the whole first thing. And he had to take them out. I was like, come on. How much more people can you go around killing? But hey, I loved every single moment. I was glued. I was riveted. I like action movies like that. Like, that was the whole 80s. It was like action films with a few, dramatic films here and there. I remember a lot more action films than I do drama or, romantic comedies and shit like that in the 80s. And then, of course, we went to Rambo 3 in 1988. And, God, you had that Sandy Show actor, Kurtwood Smith, playing another villain that he had to, keeping quiet to himself, gets involved to kind of try and stop him and shit like that. And, again, more action and chaos, bud. I don't know. There was not more of how do you call it, a personal connection. He just wanted to save the world, and that's what it is. He's the guy who can do something about it. Let's do it. It wasn't until Rambo in 2008, I guess the 4th film, because there's only 5 films, right? That when that came out, and oh my God, that we really got personal. He was minding himself somewhere in Thailand, and he comes across this girl who gets into trouble with her husband, and he feels the need that, maybe it triggers something in him that made it more personal for him about kind of like a daughter and not being able to protect her and all this shit. And the people in the jungle who just wanted to live a normal life to get attacked like the way they did, and for him to jump in and protect him and actually do something, that was badass. It kind of reminded me of The Equalizer, what we got with The Equalizer right now with Denzel Washington. That's what that was way back in 2018, almost 10 years before, the first Equalizer came out with Denzel Washington, based on a TV series. Go watch it. But holy shit. And that was directed by Sylvester Stallone. So that's where I think that Rambo started to get its character more its teeth, like to make it more modern. Yeah, it was a little outdated, but holy shit. That was one of the most well-shot, gory, updated of the series, in my personal opinion. One of my favorites. Like, I love that movie. Like, I watched it in the theater, and I remember watching it at home when Blu-ray just came out, and I was like, damn, that looks amazing, right? And then we got Rocky. So we got Rambo, Last Blood. That came out in 2019. Just shit, not even 4 years ago. And holy crap, did he ever top himself? He's an old, disgruntled guy living on some sort of damn ranch, keeping to himself, building weapons for what war was coming his way he didn't even know. He kind of got close to this lady who had kind of ties to the, I want to say, cartel. And things go really bad. They end up taking this girl that he was very fond of, that considered as a daughter. So making it on another personal level. So he goes, you know what? He's old for this shit, but he goes, you know what? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get her from Mexico or whatever the hell she was taken to. And holy shit, to actually, because all the other films have been him go there, rescue the person, they're okay. No, he went there, and to find out that they actually did her in, that set him on another emotional fucking level that I never thought you would see Rambo go on. Because the other films, like, trust me, they were serious, right? This his business shit, and he lost his shit. He got the shit kicked out of him. He did a little damage, and then of course they're going to his compound, his ranch, and the way he set up those booby traps, and the way he gets the villain at the end, the bad guy who's in charge. Holy shit! I never saw anything that crazy. It was real. That's what it felt. It felt real. Like if this guy really existed, that's how it would be, and that's what we got. My God, shooting arrows and people going spikes and the booby traps and the chain and the way he. I'm telling you, the last 10 minutes of that film, holy shit! Like, you know, and that's what still resonates with me today. The last two Rambo films really stay in my mind, you know, and that's how it is with me. It's like it might have started off good, either franchise Rocky or, you know, Rambo, depending what you prefer. For me, Rambo was the more consistent. We got the same, you know, level kind of excellence, in my personal opinion, and then it stepped it up a notch and put it into high gear. For Rocky, it kind of was good at the beginning, and then it kind of, and then once the Russian came along in Rocky 4, and then it kind of dipped down at 5, then kind of got back up with Rocky Balboa, and then, of course, in my personal opinion, that helped launch or catapult Creed, and that's where I would say that if that's where Rocky started, for Rocky would win hands down, but because it didn't, and Rambo pretty much kept a consistent pathway, and then elevated near the end and kind of like ended things, if he was going to end things on a, to me personally, in a good note, because I enjoyed that damn movie. I think Rocky loses to Rambo hands down, and I would pick Rambo to be the declared franchise winner for Sylvester Stallone, in my personal opinion. So there you go, guys. That is my official, I guess, Rambo versus Rocky debate settled score, declaring Rambo the winner overall based on the films and what I described to you guys. You guys can feel free to go in the comment section, tell me your thoughts, why Rocky is, if you agree with me, whatever. Like I said, it's all your personal preference. Me, I prefer Rambo, and I think Rambo, and based on what I told you guys, is the declared winner in my part, especially of those last two films, because I'm telling you, holy shit, from 1982 to 2019, consistent. Rocky was from 1976, when the King was born, to 2006. So it's been a good long while before we got another decent thing, until we got the Creed films, but that doesn't count. This is Rocky versus Rambo, not Creed versus Rambo. So Rocky's the winner in my personal opinion. So there you go, guys. That's the main topic for my podcast episode there of Movie Throne. Hope you guys liked it. And before I go, guys, I gotta get a little shout out there. You know, you guys probably wondering why the King didn't bring up a episode and whatever the hell. You know, I can't let it go and not say nothing, you know, because I don't want to be the biggest tool on this planet, whatever. You know, I know my family's going through a lot of shit there. You know, there was a death in the family. On Friday, unfortunately, through circumstances that were uncontrollable, my father passed away. He lost his battle. He was hooked on a whole bunch of machines, fighting more than one thing at a time. I don't want to get personal and tell you all his detail, because that's not my business to do so. Because to be quite honest, you know, me and my father haven't talked to well over a decade. You know, and like I said, I kind of did my mourning and my, you know, forgiveness, like after what was said between the two of us, and we haven't talked for like 10 years until to the day he died. And like I said, resentment, all that shit and whatever. The King, like I said, in time, like the first, like years ago, he forgave my father for what he said to me personally. And it's not why, like I said, I choose to stick to what I'm going to do and stuff like that moving forward. It's my decision to do whatever. Everybody agrees in different ways, but I'm telling you, I'm pretty cool. I have my moments, don't get me wrong. He was only 72 years old when he passed away, which I thought he'd be a little bit longer. And, you know, you never know. You thought things would turn around and shit. But sometimes it is, you know, like I said, I found within the 10 years that I didn't talk to, like after the first maybe year or so, I found a way to forgive what was said. Unfortunately, he didn't have the same amount of time to forgive himself in a way so he can reach out to me. But it's okay. I'm cool with it. Like I said, now I'm here for my family and stuff like that. It's a hard time. 72 years old, a lot of memories and shit like that. But she'll be missed. So until next time, Throne Nation, be good to your family, and the King will return on YouTube. Take it easy. See you soon.